There is a specific kind of tiredness that I have heard described hundreds of times in my clinical career. Not the tiredness of a long day, not the tiredness of poor sleep. This one lives in your muscles. Your legs feel like they are carrying something they are not. Climbing stairs requires a negotiation with your body that it did not use to require. Standing up from a chair takes more than it once did. And your thighs and calves ache at night, not from anything you did, but simply from existing inside them all day. And almost every time I hear this description, I find out the same thing. The person is on a statin. Today, I want to explain to you exactly what is happening inside your muscles when you take a cholesterol-lowering medication, why your doctor may have told you it is unrelated, why that answer is almost certainly incomplete, and what you can do, specifically and practically, to address it. Because the muscle symptoms associated with statins are not a minor inconvenience. They affect between 10 and 25% of statin users in clinical practice. And they are one of the leading reasons people stop taking a medication that their heart genuinely needs. That is a problem with two solutions, and today I am going to give you both. Let me take you inside a muscle cell. Every muscle cell in your body contains mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside your cells. And inside those mitochondria, there is a process called the electron transport chain. Think of it as a production line. Raw materials, the nutrients from your food, go in one end. ATP, the energy currency your muscles use to contract, comes out the other. Running along that production line is a molecule called CoQ10, Coenzyme Q10. Its job is to carry electrons between the stages of the chain. Without it, the chain stalls. The production line stops. And no ATP comes out. Now, your body produces CoQ10 naturally. It does so using the same biological pathway it uses to make cholesterol, a pathway called the mevalonate pathway. And here is the critical detail. Statins work by blocking an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase, the enzyme that runs the mevalonate pathway. That block reduces cholesterol production. That is the goal. But the mevalonate pathway also produces CoQ10. The same block that lowers cholesterol lowers your body's ability to produce CoQ10. And your muscles, which have the highest energy demands of any tissue in your body apart from your heart and brain, feel that loss first. Your leg muscles carry your weight every waking moment. They need enormous, continuous ATP production to function. When the CoQ10 that powers that production falls, your muscles begin to tell you, in the language of aching, in the language of weakness, in the language of a body that feels older than it should. A 2025 open access study published in PMC confirmed that the pathophysiology of statin-associated muscle symptoms is linked to mitochondrial dysfunction, muscle bioenergetics, dysregulation, and CoQ10 depletion. And a comprehensive 2024 review published in the International Journal of Rheumatic Diseases identified CoQ10 deficiency as one of the primary proposed mechanisms for statin-associated muscle symptoms. A finding supported across multiple study designs. The science is not fringe, the mechanism is not disputed. What remains debated is what to do about it, and I will address that honestly. I want to tell you about a patient I will call Vincent, 63 years old, former bricklayer. Still active, he walked his 2 Labradors every morning, 4 miles without fail for 11 years. He started atorvastatin after a cardiovascular risk assessment that his GP considered straightforward. His cholesterol came down. His numbers looked excellent. By every measure his doctor was looking at, the medication was working. 8 months later, Vincent stopped walking his dogs, not because he chose to, because by the 2nd mile, his legs gave him no choice. A deep, heavy ache in both thighs, the kind that did not come from exertion but was made worse by it. His calves cramped at night. Getting up from the floor after playing with his grandchildren had become an exercise in managing pain. His GP told him, this occasionally happens with statins, Vincent. The benefits far outweigh this kind of mild discomfort. Vincent told me later it was not mild, it was every day. He came to me because he had looked up his symptoms himself and read about CoQ10 depletion, not because his doctor mentioned it. Because he had gone looking for an answer he was not being given. We did not change his statin. His cardiovascular risk was real and the medication was appropriate. We changed what he ate. And we had a very specific conversation, which I will share with you shortly, about what his doctor could offer alongside the prescription. At 3 months, Vincent was back walking 4 miles, not without effort, but without the ache that had stopped him. He sent me a photograph, two Labradors, a muddy path, him in the middle, looking like himself again. Now I want to explain why muscles are hit hardest, because this is the part most explanations leave out. Your body contains roughly 37 trillion cells. All of them use CoQ10, but they do not all use it equally. The cells that use the most CoQ10 are the ones with the highest energy demands, the ones that contain the most mitochondria. Your heart muscle is the most energy-demanding organ in your body, but your skeletal muscles, your legs, your back, your arms, are the largest mass of energy-consuming tissue you have. They account for the majority of your metabolic activity during movement. When CoQ10 levels fall, your large skeletal muscles are among the first to feel it, not because they are fragile, but because they are demanding. They need more fuel, they have less fuel to work with, and the result is exactly what Vincent described. A heaviness, an ache, a loss of capacity that feels like rapid aging, but is actually a deficit in cellular energy production. The muscles are not breaking down. They are running low on the molecule that powers them. And here is why that matters beyond the discomfort. Statin-associated muscle symptoms are one of the leading reasons people stop statins. And stopping a statin that your heart needs because of muscle pain that was never properly addressed is a preventable outcome. This video is not about whether to take a statin. It is about how to take one without losing the use of your legs. Now, the question most people ask at this point, can I just take a CoQ10 supplement and fix this? Honest answer, the evidence is mixed, and I will not pretend otherwise. A 2025 systematic review and meta-analysis published in the Journal of Nutritional Science analyzed 7 randomized controlled trials involving 389 patients. It found a statistically significant overall reduction in statin-associated muscle pain with CoQ10 supplementation, weighted mean difference of negative 0.96, with a p-value below 0.05. 4 of the 7 trials showed benefit, 3 did not. A separate meta-analysis published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that CoQ10 supplementation improved muscle pain, muscle weakness, and muscle cramps compared to placebo in statin users. But other high-quality reviews have found no clear benefit. The Cleveland Clinic and several major cardiac centers do not routinely recommend CoQ10 supplementation for statin-associated muscle symptoms, citing insufficient and inconsistent evidence. Here is my honest clinical position. The mechanism is biologically sound. The evidence for supplementation is promising but not definitive. The evidence for food-first restoration is solid and safe for almost everyone. So I always start with food. And then we have a conversation about supplementation alongside your doctor. Here are the foods. CoQ10 is found in many foods, but in meaningful concentrations in very few. The average Western diet provides approximately 3 to 6 milligrams of CoQ10 daily. That is not enough to compensate for what statins reduce. But the right foods, eaten consistently, can meaningfully restore dietary CoQ10 and support the mitochondrial function your muscles depend on. Food number 1, beef heart. Gram for gram, beef heart is the single richest food source of CoQ10 in existence. A 100-gram serving provides approximately 11.3 milligrams. That is roughly 3 to 4 times the amount in regular beef muscle meat and nearly double what you would get from sardines. Why so much? Because the heart is the hardest working muscle in the body. It never stops contracting, not once, from birth to death. To sustain that, it packs its cells with mitochondria. And wherever there are mitochondria, there is CoQ10. If beef heart sounds unapproachable, I understand. Slice it thin, marinate it, and cook it quickly on high heat. Or start with small amounts added to a slow-cooked stew where the flavor becomes indistinguishable from regular beef. Vincent ate it once a week from his 3rd month onward. He described it as tasting exactly like steak. Because it does. Food number 2, sardines. Sardines provide approximately 6.4 milligrams of CoQ10 per 100 grams. They also deliver omega-3 fatty acids, which help your body absorb CoQ10 because CoQ10 is fat-soluble. It requires fat to be properly absorbed. They provide B12, selenium, and iron. In a single affordable can, they address multiple mitochondrial needs simultaneously. Twice a week. On whole grain crackers with a squeeze of lemon, or stirred through pasta with olive oil and garlic. $2 a serving. One of the most nutrient-dense foods for muscle health on the planet. Food number 3, regular beef and oily fish. Beef muscle meat provides approximately 3.1 milligrams per 100 grams. Mackerel provides around 6.7 milligrams, slightly higher than sardines. Salmon provides approximately 3 milligrams. These are not dramatic numbers on their own, but eaten consistently alongside the beef heart and sardines, they build a dietary pattern that steadily supports CoQ10 status over the weeks and months that matter. A word on supplements. If you and your doctor decide to try CoQ10 supplementation, the form matters. Ubiquinol is the reduced, more bioavailable form of CoQ10. Ubiquinone is the oxidized form, less expensive, less absorbed. For adults over 60, where absorption tends to be less efficient, ubiquinol is generally the preferred form. Doses in the successful clinical trials ranged from 100 to 600 milligrams daily. The weighted average showing benefit was in the 100 to 200 milligram range. Always discuss supplementation with your doctor before starting, not because CoQ10 is dangerous, but because the conversation is worth having. Let me bring this together before we close. Statins are one of the most evidence-based cardiovascular medications in existence. If your doctor has prescribed one, that is almost certainly the right decision for your heart. But statins deplete CoQ10 by blocking the same pathway that produces it. And your muscles, particularly the large muscles of your legs, are among the highest demand consumers of CoQ10 in your body. When that supply falls, the result is not mysterious. It is biological, it is measurable, and it is addressable. The conversation to have with your doctor. I have been experiencing muscle symptoms since starting my statin. I have read about CoQ10 depletion as a potential mechanism. I would like to discuss whether dietary changes or CoQ10 some supplementation is appropriate for my specific situation. That is a precise, informed, reasonable conversation. Any good clinician will engage with it. This week, add sardines twice. Consider beef heart once. Write down the conversation you want to have at your next appointment. Vincent is walking his dogs again. Your muscles are not giving up. They are asking for something specific, and now you know exactly what it is. Now, one more thing, and this builds directly on what we just covered. We have talked today about how statins deplete CoQ10 through the mevalonate pathway. But statins are not the only widely prescribed medication that affects this same pathway. There is another drug, taken by over 50 million people globally, that blocks a different point in your body's ability to produce cellular energy. Not CoQ10 this time, a different molecule, a different mechanism, a different set of symptoms. It is the medication prescribed most often for type 2 diabetes, and its depletion, specifically of vitamin B12, produces neurological symptoms that in some patients have been clinically mistaken for early cognitive decline. If you or someone you know takes metformin every day, that is the next video. Subscribe now, hit the notification bell. I will see you there.